Okay, so now we will start chapter number 2, how habit shapes your identity and vice versa. मैं थो मैं थो I had been little bit forward one or two pages, but I am again starting with again 7 chapter because this is very good. We will we will revise also, and we will also uh, go through the topics so we can again clarify what we have done. Why it is easy to repeat bad habits and so to form the good ones. Few things can have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily habits. And yet it is likely that this time next year you will doing to do the same thing rather than something better. It often feels difficult to keep good habits going from more than few days. Even with the sincere efforts and occasional burst of motivation, habits like exercise, meditation, generally, and cooking are the reasonable for a day or a two, then they become a hustle. However, once habits are established, they seem to stick around forever, especially the unwanted ones. Despite of our best intention, unhealthy habits like eating junk food, watching too much television, procrastinating, and smoking can feel impossible to break. Changing our habit is a challenge for two reasons. We try to change the wrong habit, first thing. We try to change the habit in the wrong way. In this chapter, we will address the first point. In the chapter that follows, we'll answer the second. Our first mistake is that we try to change the wrong thing. 2. Understand what I mean. Consider there is three levels at which change occur. You can imagine that like layers of an onion. First layer is changing your outcome. This level is concerned with changing your result, losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship. Most of the goals are set are associated with the level of change. Second layer is changing the process. The level is concerned with changing our habits and system, implementing a new routine at a gym, decluttering your decks for a better workflow, developing a meditation practice. Most of our habits are built or associated with this level. Third and the deepest layer is changing your identity. This level is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldwide, your self image, your judgment about yourself and others. Again, I repeat the third one. The third and the deepest layer is changing your identity. This level is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldwide view, your self image, your judgment about yourself and others. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and bias you hold are associated in this level. Outcomes are about what you get, the process is about what you do, identity is about what you believe. When it's become to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvement, the problem is not the first level is better or worse than another. All levels of changing are useful in their own way. The problem is the direction of change. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads to an outcome based habit. Alternative is to build the identity based habits, which approach we start by focusing on who we wish to become. Outcome based, here is the author has given a wonderful example of outcome based and identity based by using figure. Imagine two peoples resting a cigarette. One offer a smoke. The first person say, "No thanks, I am trying to quit." It sounds like reasonable response. But this person still believe that a smoker who is trying to be something else. They are hoping their behavior will change, will carry around the same belief. Second person's decline by saying, "No thanks, I am not a smoker." It's small difference, but the statement signals a shift in identity. Smokers was a part of the former life, not the current one. There is no longer identity as someone who smokes. Most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve. They just think, "I want to be skinny." Outcome. And if I stick to a diet, then I will be skinny. Process. They set the goals and determine the action they should take in achieve those goals without considering their beliefs that drive their action. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't even realize that their identity can sabotage their new plans for change. Behind every system of actions are the system of beliefs. The system of a democracy is found on a beliefs like freedom, majority rules, and social equality. The system of a dictatorship has a very different set of beliefs like absolute authority, strict obedience. You can imagine many ways to try to get more people to vote in a democracy. But such behavior change will never get off the ground in a dictatorship. That's not the identity of the system. Voting is a behavior that is impossible under the certain set of beliefs. A similar patterns exist whether we are discussing individuals, organizations, or societies. There are set of beliefs and assumptions that shapes your system. An identity based the habits, the behavior that is in current with the self will not last. You may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than create, then you will continue to pull towards spending rather than earning. You want better health, but if you continue prioritize your comfort over accomplishment, you will be drawn to relaxing rather than training. It's hard to change your habit if you had never changed the underlying belief that leads to our past behavior. You have a new goal, a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. The story of Brian Clark, an entrepreneur of Boulder, Colorado, provides a good example. For as long as I can remember, I chewed my fingernail. Clark told me that has a nervous habit when I was young, and the morphed it into an undesirable grooming ritual. One day I resolved to stop chewing my nails until they grew out a bit. Through mindful willpower alone, I managed to do it. Then Clark did something surprising. I asked my wife to schedule my first ever manicure. He said, "My thought was that if I started paying to maintain my nails, I wouldn't chew them." And it's work, but not for a monetary reason. What happened was the manicure made my fingers look really nice. For the first time, the manicurist ever said that, other than chewing, I had really healthy, attractive nails. Suddenly, I was proud of my fingernails, and even though that's something I had never aspired to, it's made all the difference. I never chewed my nails since, not even a single close call, and it's because I am now take a pride in properly caring for them. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes a part of your identity. It's not thing to say, I am the type of person who want this. It's something very different to say, I am a type of person who is this. There is two different statement. Again, I will repeat it. It's one thing to say, I am the type of person who want this. I am a type of person who want this. It's something very different to say, I am a type of person who is this. The pride you have in particular aspect of your identity, the more motivated you will be to maintain the habit associated with it. If you are proud of how your hairs look, you will develop a sort of habit to care for and maintain it. If you are proud of size of a bicep, you will make sure you never skip an upper body workout. If you proud to scarf a knee, you will more likely to spend hours knitting each week. Once a pride is involved, you will fight tooth and nail to maintain your habit. The true behavior change is the identity change. You might start a habit becoming of motivation, but the only reason you will stick with one is that it become a part of your identity. Anyone can convince themselves to visit a gym or eat a healthy once or twice. But if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it is very hard to stick with the long term changes. Improvements are only temporary until they part of who you are. The goal is not to read a book, the goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon, the goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument, the goal is to become a musician. Our behavior are usually a reflection of your identity. What you are, what you do is an identification or the type of person you believe that you are. There, consciously or non consciously, research has shown that once a person believes in a particular aspect of identity, they are more likely to act in alignment with their beliefs. For example, people who identify as being a voter were more likely to vote than those who simply claim voting was an action they wanted to perform. Similarly, the person who incorporates exercise in their identity doesn't have to convince themselves to train. Doing the right thing is easy. After all, when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you are no longer perceiving behavior change. You are simply acting like the type of a person you already believe yourself to. Like are aspects of habit formation. These two is double-edged sword. When working for you, identity change can be a powerful force for self-improvement. When working against you, those identity can change you by a curse. Once you have adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your elegance to impact your ability to change. Many people walk through a life in an cognitive clubber, blindly follow the norms attached to their identity. I am terrible in direction. I am not a morning person. I am a bad at remembering people name. I am always late. I am not good with technologies. I am horrible with maths, and thousands of other variations. When you repeat a story to yourself for a years, it's easy slide into a mental groove and accept them as a fact. In the time you being to resist certain actions because that's not who I am. There are internal pressures to maintain your self image and behave in the way that's consist with your beliefs. You find whether whatever way you can do avoid contradicting yourself. The more deeply a thought or action is tied to be your identity, the more difficult it is to change it. It can feel comfortable to believe that what your cultures believe, group identity, or to do uphold your self image, personal identity, even it's wrong. The biggest barrier to positive change at any level, individual, team, society, is identity conflict. Good habits can make rational sense, but if they conflict with our identity, you will fail to put them into action. On any given day, you may struggle with your habits because you are too busy or too tired, too overwhelming, or hundreds of other reasons over a long run. However, a real reasons you fail to seek with habits it's that's your self-image getting the way. This is why you can't get too attached to one version of your identity. Progress requires unlearning. Becoming the best versions of yourself required you to continuously edit your beliefs and upgrade and expand your identity. This bringing us to an important question. If your beliefs and the worlds play such an important role in your behavior, where do they come from? It's the first place. How exactly it's your identity form and how you can emphasize a new aspect of your identity that serve you and gradually erase the piece that hinder you. The two-step process to change your identity. Your identity emerges out of your habits. You are not born with the present belief. Every belief, including those you about yourself, is learned and conditioned through experience. More precisely, your habits are how you embody your identity. When you make your bed each day, you embody the identity of an organized person. When you write each day, you embody the identity of a creative person. When you train each day, you embody the identity of an athlete person. The more you repeat your behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with this behavior. In fact, the word identity was originally derived from a Latin word essentiasis, which means being an identium, which means repeatedly. Your identity is literally your repeating beingness. Whatever your identity is right now, you only believe it's because you have a proof of it. If you go to church every Sunday for 20 years, you have a evidence that you are religious. If you are study biology for an hour every night, you have a evidence that you are studious. If you go to the gym even when it is snowing, you have a evidence that you are committed to fitness. The more evidence you have for a belief, the more strongly you will believe it. For the most of our earlier life, I didn't consider myself as a writer. If you were to ask any of my high school teachers or college professors, they will tell you I am average writer at best. Certainly not stand out. When I began my writing career, I published a new article of every Monday and Thursday for first few years. As the evidence grew, so did my identity as a writer. I didn't start out as a writer, I became one through my habits. Of course, our habits are not the only action that influence your identity, but by the virtue of this frequency, they are usually the most important ones. Each experience in a life modify your self-image, but it's unlike you would consider yourself as a soccer player because you kicked a ball once or an artist to become a scribbling a picture. As you repeat these actions over, however, the evidence accumulates and your self-image become to change. The effect of one of our experience tends to fade away while the effect of the habits gets reinforced with the time, which means our habits contribute most of the evidence that shape your identity. In this way, the process of building habits is actually the process of being yourself. This is gradual revolution. We don't we do not change snapping our finger and decided to be someone entirely new. We change it bit by bit, day by day, habit by habit. We continuously undergoes a micro revolutions to the self. Each habit is like a suggestion. Hey, maybe this is who I am. If you finish a book, then perhaps you are the type of person who like reading. If you go to gym, then perhaps you are the type of person who like exercise. If you practice playing a guitar, perhaps you are the type of person who like music. Every action you take is a vote for the person who wish to become. No single instance will transform your belief, but as the vote build up, so did the evidence of the new identity. This is the one reason why meaningful change don't require radical change. Small habits can make a meaningful difference, but providing evidence for a new identity. And if you change a meaningful, it's actually is big. That's the paradox of making small improvements. Putting this all together, you can see the habits are the part of changing your identity. The most practical way to change who you are is to change what you do. Who you are is to change what you do. Each time you write a page, ah, you are a writer. Each time you practice the violin, you are a musician. Each time you start a workout, you are an athlete. Each time you encourage your employees, you are the leader. Each habit not only get result but also teach you something far more important, to trust yourself. You start to believe you can actually accomplish these things. When you vote mount up and the evidence began to change, the story you tell yourself being to change as well. Of course, it's work the opposite way too. Every time you choose to perform a bad habit, it's the vote for an identity. The good news is that you don't need to be perfect. In an election, there are going to be the votes for both sides. You don't have to be anonymous vote with to win an election. You just need to be a majority. It doesn't matter if you cast a few votes for a bad behavior or an unproductive habit. Your goal is simply to win the majority of the time. New identities require new evidence. If you keep casting the same vote, you will always cast who you are going to get the same result you are always had. If nothing changes, nothing is going to change. This is a simple two-step process. Decide the type of person who want to be. Prove it to yourself with small wins. First, decided. Okay, we will today stop here. This page number 39. Two-step verification. Decide the type of person you want to be. कैसा person बनना चाहता हूँ. That prove it yourself with the small habits. After two pages it will be over, but we will decide to stop here and we will continue it tomorrow. Bye bye. We will meet tomorrow.